Hey, everybody, welcome to the latest edition of the Outdated Wrestling Hour. I don't know what to make out of this episode. Bob's pacing the floor, not talking to me, just sitting there in a chair with his leg crossed, staring at the wall. It's not like him. He's waiting for Liam Savage to show up, and I'm getting out of here. I'm not going to cross him. I'm just going to have my delicious lentil cup of soup and enjoy the Outdated Wrestling Hour. Hey, everybody. For once, the old man is right. Hi, everybody. This is Bob Smith. You may remember me from my days with Pro Wrestling Illustrated, emphasis on wrestling. And this is the Outdated Wrestling Hour. We're glad you're here. You may not be so glad after you listen to a little of this. Now, we're going to vent a little bit. Our guest is Liam Savage, and we're both kind of perturbed over a certain thing that's going on in WWE. I'll bet you can guess what it is. But if you can't, you can listen. So we're going to have a little bit of a complaints and grievances hour here, and we hope you enjoy it. Nonetheless, we're going to talk about a lot of different topics, and we'll take our first commercial break of the evening, which will be a short one. And then we'll come back with Liam Savage, and we're going to talk about, hey, walk me off the ledge, man. Walk me off the ledge, Liam. Please, I need some calming down. You know, before you listen, put down a tarp or something. Things could get messy here, you know what I mean? We'll be right back, but don't go anywhere. No, I promise. Nobody will get hurt. It'll be fine. I promise. It'll be cool. I'm telling you, it'll be fine. Don't panic. It'll be fine.
This is Joe Walsh. One thing I do when I'm not playing rock and roll is get on the air as an amateur radio operator. Also called ham radio, is a communication service provided by ordinary people just like you and me. We have a national emergency communication system in place 24/7, 365. Find out more about amateur radio at arrl.org/what is ham radio. See you on the air.
All right, I warn you guys, okay? Fair warning if you want to switch off. This isn't going to be the usual happy Bob show. I got a letter once, hey, Joe Happy. Yeah. So you know what? I'm not that happy today, but I am happy about one thing. We got Liam Savage back on the show. You may remember him from the Front Row Material podcast, and he's here for his, 90th, 91st time? What is it?
I think I'm part of the 5 Timers Club now. I don't know if I'm the first one, but
yeah, 5. Congratulations! You'll get your purple something in the mail. But no, anyway, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for complaints and grievances. I've been holding this in for a while. I don't know where to start, so I'll just start. I was so happy with WWE around WrestleMania time. So happy with it. And Liam, give me the floor for a while, and I'll have you chime in as soon as I get through.
All right.
The soliloquy that have been bottled up in me for a month now.
Yep.
So anyway, I was really happy. And if you recall the end of WrestleMania, Michael Cole blurts out, I love professional wrestling. And I think Corey Graves says, yes, I love professional wrestling too. Now, if you know anything about WWE, Vince McMahon used to call it sports entertainment. It was a good 2-day show. I enjoyed most of it. WWE is never perfect, but that was a really, really good weekend. And I walked away going, boy, they did everything they said they were going to do. They're printing money. The future looks bright for wrestling. This is awesome. Cut to June 17th. Not all that long after this. It's Monday Night Raw. And it ended with what looked like a murder scenario with smoke pots on the floor and bodies strewn around and blood on the walls. And what we now know is the Wyatt Six. Let me start off by saying this. Like everyone else, and I said on the show, when Bray Wyatt died, I paid tribute to him. And it's always a terrible thing when someone dies that young. All right. I'm glad there are people around him that want to emulate him and kind of keep his legacy alive. That's fine. Okay. I understand it. None of this has to do with the personalities or the people. It has to do with this angle. I think it takes a giant dump on the wrestlers of the 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s. It's the dumbest thing since Glow. I'm offended by this. I really am. I'm offended by every aspect of it. They bring out this spooky scenario with these 6 monsters or 5 monsters, whatever they are. And later the same night, they're caught in a Whataburger, and there's a picture of all of them on social media enjoying a nice burger with a fan. The next week, the lady who Michael refers to as that thing, we all know who it is. And she brings him a VHS tape, and they watch the tape. Again, it's all a tribute to Bray. I understand it. I understand how Eric Rowan feels. Now, I did not see Raw last night as we taped this, okay? And I understand he did a very heartfelt soliloquy about his friend and other people in his life. I understand that. I get it. But they started the thing out with what appeared to be a murder scenario. All right? Just take it to the extreme right on the beginning. Now, we all know it wasn't, but it looked like that. And the fans are doing their holy shit, holy shit. Next week, Chad Gable's in the ring, and the smoke pots come up in the ring, which is really realistic, right? I remember that during Briscoe versus Race, didn't you? All the smoke pots starting up.
Man, that was
right?
that was the main thing about it. Yes.
Yes, yeah. So and the fans are going, holy shit, and I'm going, yeah, holy shit. What's on the other channel? Then there was the interviews with Bo Dallas interviewing himself. He's Uncle Howdy. Uncle Howdy is Bo Dallas. There's a lot of just jargons flying back and forth. And you know what bothers me about all this stuff? A while back, Impact Wrestling had not one but 2 simulated murders on their show. Okay, yeah. All right, as part of their storylines. And one of the guys who was murdered actually came back a few months later, but we won't get into that because that's today's wrestling. But anyway, none of this makes the slightest bit of sense other than the shock value. And people think it's cool because it's a tribute. I don't even think that's fine. Do something that makes sense. I don't care. Bray Wyatt sucked, and this sucked worse. I don't know what to say. I heard what Jim Cornette and Brian Last had to say about it, and I agreed. I'm being worse about it. This makes, you know what? Honest to God, there was 5 minutes went past my head. As successful as this podcast has been, I almost said, screw it. I'm tired of spending money on this stuff to put this thing together. If I'm trying to educate an audience that wants, Casper the Friendly Ghost, I'll do the entertainment podcast and say, screw this. Liam, it's all yours.
Firstly, I'd like to say that mysterious girl, I really enjoyed her in the Ring, in that movie, The Ring. That was great. I'm glad she's got new work now, so that's really good. So the thing for me is this goes back to, I don't know, the hokiness that just kind of like came out of nowhere with the Papa Shango with the Ultimate Warrior. You remember he's casting a spell on him, and Warrior was throwing up, and I thought, and that was the time when I stepped right away and I said, I can't do this anymore.
Right.
Bad stuff.
Yep. I was with the magazines when that was going on.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what are they doing to us here?
Yeah.
And I'll take it, forgive me for cutting in. I will take this a step further. I have the most unpopular opinion in wrestling. Is that The Undertaker did more damage to pro wrestling than anything I've ever seen.
Yes.
Because it was the first thing they brought out in WWF at that point. And they just said, hey, folks, enjoy this fake stuff.
Yeah.
Enjoy the lightning in the arena. Enjoy him flying up to heaven, and enjoy him being buried alive, and enjoy, Midian being cut open on an edition of Raw and all this other stuff. I respect Mark Calloway. He's a great wrestler. Yes, he put on some great matches if you could strip away the crap. All right? That's the
Mhm.
way I feel about it. You know what? It says wrestling. If I wanted to see a horror movie, I'd turn on Netflix.
That's okay. You're upset, and I get it.
No, I'm not really upset. You know what? No,
Frustrated.
I'm more disappointed than I am upset because I was on a high with WWE. I
Mhm.
really was.
Mhm.
I mean, Gunther,
Oh.
Becky Lynch, Rhea Ripley,
Mhm.
but Damian Priest is growing on me more by the day. There's some really great talent there right now and some good matches. Drew McIntyre versus CM Punk. Yeah, give me more, give me more. It's awesome. But how can you take a feud seriously when in the next segment it's going to be Alfred Hitchcock presents?
I made a point of telling some people that when and I just kept going, "Oh, no," when I kept seeing the little blips on the screen because they were trying to, like, get everybody hyped up for this thing. And I thought, I really don't wanna see this. And I didn't know it would be, I guess, as bad as it's looking now. This looks terrible. You're not alone. It's actually splitting a lot of the audience, but not the ones in the arenas, mind you, because most of them seem to be up for it. But why would I want to watch this? Everybody will have the caveat, well, it's a tribute to Bray Wyatt. I get that. I didn't like a lot of the stuff he did either. Great guy. No problem with him as a human. And I can't necessarily say whether he was fed a lot of the stuff he did or not, but a lot of it was garbage to me. And that's not disrespecting him as a person. What I see is something that I don't want to see. People are already crapping on it, saying like this is taking so long, it's drawn out. I don't want to see it go any further. And the fact that you would have was it Nikki Cross, I guess?
Right, Nikki Cross. Yeah.
Yeah, bringing a videotape out. Is this 20 years ago? I don't understand this. It would have made even more. It would have made more sense to hand Michael Cole a DVD. Or a
Well, yeah.
USB drive, just something, but it's stupid. It's like, oh well, it's old and creepy because it's a
Yeah.
videotape.
Yeah.
Come on.
Right. Yeah. I mean, somebody thinks this is clever. And there's the problem.
Hmm.
Ray Wyatt's before he disappeared the last time, his last segments were some of the worst things ever on wrestling TV. Nothing he did made a bit of sense. Now, this is after the LA Knight match. The period after that was dreadful. It was just drivel. There were Firefly Funhouses. Not that they made sense to begin with, but they made even less sense at that point. It was 4 minutes of just nonsense. And okay, no, not okay. Why?
Why
Wrestling should
indeed?
be its own animal. Why isn't wrestling enough? Stanley Weston was guilty of that too. Let's
Yeah.
go back to the 70s. Apartment house wrestling.
Mm.
Sales slumps. He put near naked women in the magazine. You know what? Desperation. I didn't agree with that either. I didn't agree with a lot of stuff our magazines did. It exploited wrestling instead of covered it. Of course, years before I was there, when it got a little more journalistic, but
Yeah.
still.
I think the main thing is when people try to find an excuse for what me and you have a problem with right now is that they say, well, you know what? It's wrestling. Just let go and just enjoy the ride. And I say, you know what? If that's your thing, cool. And if you want me to look at the things that they're doing right now and see that there's some merit to the filmmaking aspect or whatever, yeah, looks great. There's nothing wrong with how it looks. It's the fact that it's inserted onto a wrestling show. And I don't want to see that. Maybe some do. I certainly don't. I don't want to see anything to do with that. I'm more of the type of person like Drew McIntyre, CM Punk. It's all based on them just having a go at each other. And it's compelling.
Mhm.
And we
Yeah.
are all enjoying this. Yeah, it's getting maybe a little long in the tooth because, McIntyre keeps getting screwed over. Like, I understand that. Hopefully they have an end plan here that's going to satisfy everybody. But at least that's compelling and people are going, oh man, I can't wait to see what happens. The Bloodline story from 6 months ago, it was compelling because it was just like, I'm better than you. No, I'm better than you. And it doesn't have to be anything extravagant, which is what they're trying to give us right now. And I don't like it. And if they want to do it, fine. But it just makes me go like, do I really want to watch this whole show knowing that they're capable of doing this? No.
Right. Right. It's 3 years of this too. 3 years of
Sure.
Bloodline.
Yeah.
3 years of anything in wrestling is 10 years of anything else. It's like dog years.
you know, and they've updated it though. They've obviously they've added nice layers to it, taken it somewhere where I didn't think they would. I didn't think they would get all the rest of the like Tongaloa, Tomatonga, Timmy Tonga, Tommy Tonga, Jimmy Tonga,
Right.
but they've added some new people, and it makes it a lot more interesting. But I did not think it would go this long.
Now, I know what Mr. Neckbeard and Nose Ring are going to tell me. Hey, Bob, in the 70s in Los Angeles, they had a wrestler called the Mummy. He was all strapped and he had like bandages all over. That's fake. Hey, Jerry Lawler had, he had Tagar from the Lord of the Universe or something like that. And he had Leatherface. Those are horror characters. Yeah, they were. But I agree. That sucked too.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, it did.
None of that's any good. Hey, they had a Frankenstein monster in Los Angeles in the Bell promotion. What do you think of that?
What about the Christmas creature? The Christmas creature was great. Oh, look at that.
Oh, yeah. Well, how about Gobbledygooker, right? Well,
Well, less said about that, the better.
That was for the Chilblings, though. So, that's what the deal was. But, in all seriousness, though, it almost, according to what I heard about last night's Raw, they're almost dialing back a little bit. They're going to make the Wyatt Six faces.
Oh.
Am I right about this? Is this where they're going with this?
I have no idea.
Like Chad Gable now has a tag team. I forget their names. I'm sorry, I didn't see the show last night. That new Husky tag team.
Oh, the Creed brothers.
Right. Apparently, they've joined up. They're the new faction for Chad Gable.
Sure. And
they're going to be the heels. And the Wyatts faces on what planet? Their debut. And, I know that the week before, Bo Dallas shows up in the office of Adam Pearce and the door closes.
Mm-hmm.
He wasn't fined and suspended for injuring all those people on day one. No reprimand for using smoke pots without permission.
Nope.
Are you?
It's allowed. It's okay.
It's all. I don't want to say the F word and I almost did, but it's all so freaking stupid. I mean, I'm sorry. It paints everything else that's going on. And like you say, Lee, when something is bad hits you in the face and smacks you like a wet fish, I don't want to watch the rest of the show. The show's tainted.
Yeah, it does taint it for me. And I just think
what WWE is? You know what the WWE is now? It's a fresh loaf of bakery bread, but on the end of this pumpernickel loaf, you see a little green spot of mold. Now, the rest of it's good, but it's still moldy.
Oh, it's a good
analogy. Not going to eat, and that means you're not going to eat any of it.
Yeah, I mean, I was watching last week's show. I didn't see last night like you, but there's some good stuff in there, like Chad Gable, Braun Breaker, Rhea Ripley came back. Thank God.
Yeah, and that's what's killing me. There's so much talent.
Yeah.
Okay. We're not even talking. We haven't even mentioned, Rhodes, but we don't have to. There's so much talent around him. He's just, everything is so strong otherwise that he doesn't have to carry the promotion.
Yeah. Even, Gunter. I can't wait to see what they're going to do. He's incredible. He's one of my favorites. I can't wait to see what they do with him. The whole John Cena retirement tour. That's interesting. Mm-hmm. Roman Reigns coming back, that'll blow the roof off the place, which nobody ever thought would have happened about a year ago.
Yeah, but if they do that right, that's going to be spectacular. Yeah,
yes, but you know what? And I can't. The last thing I'll say about this Wyatt Six debacle, I understand because people will say, well, the people that don't like, well, Triple H, he's doing all this great stuff, and then he puts this crap in there. He has to appease the shareholders, the fans that want a little more gaga. He needs to appease all those people. He needs to also show that he is capable of putting talent on there that can put together great matches that are also going, wow, I didn't expect these two to go at it. Great stuff, like Ilya Dragunov and Braun Breaker. I mean, you can't write how good that is. You even before you see it, it's going to be good. Mm-hmm. But they have to appease some of the fans that want, some of the gaga, some of the dramatic stuff. So he does it. And he has to appease a lot of different people. So I can't totally fault him in a way, but I kind of wish they had just left this alone and just people could have kept hoping for years to come. But, oh, you never know, but don't do it. They could have
You
done
know
it.
what? You know what? I don't even mind the costumes. If you get to the ring
Yeah,
and take off your mask and wrestle,
sure.
I'd have no problem with that. It's all the psychobabble around it that's driving me
Mm,
nuts. Because
mhm.
none of it's leading anywhere. You realize it's been a month and not one of them has done so much as have a match.
Right.
It's been 1 month as we record this.
Yeah.
So it's like, what? Well, hopefully 6 months from now, somebody will wave from the ring steps. I don't know what to think. I don't. It's tainting the whole show. I'm not even into SmackDown now because and they're not on that show.
Yeah.
So I'm just sick up and fed, as they say. I don't
Yeah.
know what to do. It's frustrating.
Yeah.
So and there came I do not watch AEW. I admit it. I know you have been a defender of AEW to an extent.
No,
To an extent.
well,
No. To an extent. You
yeah.
have take you've take you have I've seen you on social media make comments that kind of said, "What do you base this on?" You're inquisitive about it. And here's the deal. I know people say about AEW, well, Tony gave a lot of people jobs. I'm sorry if he gave a lot of people jobs and it stinks. It still stinks. I can't. I
Yeah.
can't. I can't worry about that.
Well,
Well, we should have two major wrestling companies. We don't.
what, right. And to clarify, I'm not necessarily defending AEW because I think it's trash in a lot of ways. And from the very infancy of it, I knew it was going to be something I would not enjoy. And a lot of people got their hopes up. I did not because I saw who was running the promotion. I saw you had someone that started the company that has never been a booker before, never been involved in the wrestling business. That was a giant red flag. And look what's happened. Now, my whole thing is when people just start making fun of them failing, just blanket statements like, oh, isn't it funny they got really bad ratings? Oh, isn't it funny they have nobody on the show that can main event? Oh, isn't it funny that, there's a bunch of people getting paid and not doing anything? Why would you laugh at that? Why would you make fun of that? It's sad, if anything. I don't want to hear about how, oh, well, yeah, they threw everything at the wall, but they still did a crappy rating. Ha ha ha. There is so many idiots online that are talking like this. And yes, I understand he's giving people a lot of jobs, a lot of money being wasted. But you know what? There's a lot of
That
people who do have jobs, and you can't fault
yeah.
that.
No, I'm not faulting.
No. I know you're not.
I fault some of these contracts, which are
Right.
so insane that it makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
Don't you earn your money before you get it? I mean,
Sure. Yeah.
because going from WWE to AEW is an entirely different ball of wax,
Mhm.
and you better prove you can draw before they throw a bales of money. But they did it ass backwards.
Well, even Ethan Page had said, I guess he got some flack from some of the, so AEW fans, WWE fans. It doesn't seem like there's anybody in the middle, but he got a lot of flack from the AEW fans for saying, well, it was an unorganized mess over there. I'm paraphrasing. And I come here to WWE and it's just like everything's run smoothly and everything's great. And everybody, oh, how dare you? And I'm thinking, you know what? He wasn't on the show a lot of the time. And when he wasn't doing anything productive. So why would you get upset for someone saying the truth? He didn't bury them. He didn't say Tony Khan's a piece of garbage or all these people can't work or anything like that. He just said it was not run the best, and which a lot of people have echoed apparently. And I'm looking to actually make something out of my career. And he goes to WWE. He's the NXT champion within 6 weeks of arriving there. That's and maybe and some people will do the conspiracy theory saying, well, they threw a title on him just to throw it back at AEW. I don't believe that. I think talent will evolve. And the fact that a lot of people there, like Brian Pillman Jr., he's getting his legs under him now. He's starting to get better. A lot of people that have come over from there, it just shows that they can have another opportunity, but not in a workplace where it's so topsy-turvy that and reminiscent of later area Lear era WCW.
WCW. I was just thinking that.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I don't know why it's horrible to say that this organization over here is run more professionally than that one was. That's an observation. It has nothing to do with what's going on in the ring, and it's not insulting anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? If Tony Khan is a money mark, does that make Billy Corgan a money order mark? Because because the NWA as it current, I have been dabbing in it once again, hopeful, but my hopes have been dashed, and I probably will not partake again. It's just, it's like, hey, buddy, you want to wrestle? That's what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's like whoever can't get a contract anywhere else is probably a champion in the NWA. I mean, it's that bad. It's
Yeah.
wow. I
Well,
mean,
we had talked to
it lost the entire flavor. Did you see that they made Tim Storm
Yes.
Baron von Storm?
Yes. That's what we were griping at a few days ago. And I thought, man, okay, number one, Tim Storm, and no offense to him, he's up there in age as far as a wrestler. He doesn't really need to be putting on the tights anymore. Maybe once in a blue moon. But if you're gonna reinvent him, why this? I mean, the guy's a great wrestler. And remember, I said to you before how just him and Nick Aldis, that story that they weaved in the beginnings of NWA Power,
Right,
great. It was
right.
great. It was a very simple story, but it was great.
Mm-hmm.
And now they're doing this with him. I saw a clip the other day. It was the host of the show, or the interviewer, and he was talking with EC3, who's the world champion. I don't know how. And and they had Dory Funk Jr. in the middle. I don't know if you saw this. Dory Funk Jr. was on the NWA show, and I thought, legend, loved Dory, loved his brother and the tag team they had and all that. But I mean, I think it's kind of reaching when you're putting someone like Dory Funk Jr. on there to try to legitimize this. And I know that, Ricky Morton has done it for years, and his son, and that's all great and everything. But this is just, see, I'm at a loss for words. I don't even know how to put it. There's something that went so great in the beginning of the Corgan era and has devolved to this. Like, this does not look like the show I started watching.
No,
Not
it's
at
not.
all.
It's not the show you started watching. They've made a lot of changes to it. Even the announce team is, other than Joe Galley, is completely different. I don't get it. I know they're on the CW app. Literally nobody has ever downloaded it,
Right,
or put on their Roku box. But I digress. all I know is that I'm looking at, it's like the not ready for prime time, and they always announce we have a new territory.
yeah.
It's Joe's garage over there in Altoona, Pennsylvania. They have amateur wrestling once a month. They're a new NWA territory. Let's hear it.
Well,
Come on.
yeah, it's
Nobody's bringing. First of all, I love the territories. Nobody's bringing the territories back, and if they
No.
do, it doesn't mean anything. Nobody will pay attention.
It's good for live wrestling if you're just going to the event, maybe, but that's about it, because it's a different day and age. It's the internet and everything else. You can't pull off the territories the same way, because the only way that you could have a bit of an idea of what was going on somewhere else in the country was if you read the magazines, which you were part of, or if you tape traded. And very rarely, if you take a vacation somewhere and you just happen to turn on the TV and you're saying like Alabama and you go to California, there you go. You'll watch something different, a different territory. But it's dead and buried as far as that goes, and I'm sorry to say that, but it is.
And there's the thing. I mean, okay, we're now in NWA territory, but if you're world champion who only wrestles in the backyard of the filling station and has a belt over his shoulder, like every indie wrestler does now, they've all got a belt, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, it's just not, it's nonsense. Enough of this. But let's go back in time a little bit, because it's like the reason I do get so upset is because I was with the pro wrestling magazines at the very ass end of the kayfabe era, right before everything kind of broke loose.
Yes.
And it was determined. I'll never forget when I brought home, excuse me. I'm coming to the office with the New York Times under my arm.
Mm.
And I go to my editor in chief, Stu Sachs. I said, Stu, you're not going to believe this. He said, what do you mean? Look at this headline. And there was a headline on page 1 of the New York Times that says, WWE admits wrestling is fake.
Yeah.
And that was about the New Jersey State Athletic Commission kind of laying off WWE when they admitted it was a predetermined exhibition as opposed to any kind of a sporting event. The whole idea was to save the WWE money, like we'll take care of our own medicine and all that stuff. We don't need the auspices of the State Athletic Commission in New Jersey. And the only way they could make that happen was to come out and say, look, this isn't on the up and up. We'll police this.
Right.
And that was the first crack in the armor. I'll never forget Stu staring at that page going, I don't believe what I'm reading. He looked white as a sheet because we were all taught to respect kayfabe. Even then, even 91, 92, 93, we were all still respecting kayfabe at that point. Yeah. I overdid it. I've been told in my old age that I was a little standoffish and not entering locker rooms because I didn't think it was my domain.
Well,
and I was wrong. Everybody has told me I was wrong about wrestlers, and other journalists have said you should have just walked in and ingratiated yourself. You would have gone a little farther.
Yeah.
But anyway, in any event, I still believe the era only in that if you go to see a movie, no, excuse me. Let's say you went and saw Masters of Illusion at the Westbury Music Fair. They do all these wonderful tricks, levitating woman and then passing through the, saw through the box and all that stuff. And at the end, they go, okay, guys, here's how we did it all. How do you feel? Now you know how we did all these tricks.
Yeah.
That's what wrestling is doing now.
Yeah.
That's what wrestling's doing. And it takes the icing off my cake, man. It just does. It's not satisfying. I used to go to an armory in Albany, New York, and left satisfied every time I saw pro wrestling. And now I watch 20 minutes on TV and I go, I wonder what the Cartoon Network has on it. Maybe they have Bugs Bunny on I can look at because I'm not enjoying myself.
Yeah.
I don't know what to say other than I'm a disillusioned old fart. I will say this in any wrestling promotion now is promoted for anybody who was as much as a single gray hair.
Mm-hmm.
That's true.
Yeah.
Nobody cares my demographic. Nobody.
Well, I do.
Well, no, gee, thanks a lot. No,
I
but
care,
but you know what I'm saying, though.
Yeah.
In other words,
I know what you mean.
Veteran fan as old as I am. And I know they're out there. If you scan the WWE crowd, you look about the 17th row, you will see people with gray hair. They're there. Yeah. So all I'm saying is none of it's programmed, none of it's written, none of it has a history knowing wrestling fan in mind. There is no history when you watch wrestling these days. There's no.
Well, yeah.
Unless they call some holder maneuver something that somebody else used 10 years ago. Other than that, there's no history. Nobody. And WWE has been favored for that. They never look back 5 years to talk about who the champion was then. They only talk about who the champion is now.
Yeah. Well, they're always kind of moving forward, but
yeah, they always look forward.
But you know what? Talking about your whole, about kayfabe being dead and all that, I have a popular gripe. Well, not a popular gripe, but it's something that I think hasn't been addressed properly. And so my whole thing was, and this is something I've had on my mind for a while, and I've only heard one podcaster address this in the way that I'm thinking it. And when I assume you've probably heard about the WrestleMania documentary they just put out on YouTube. The fact that a lot of people have said that they believe that Rock had an influence on Cody Rhodes going to WrestleMania makes my head spin. Now, I'll explain. The popular narrative was, for about a week, well, The Rock intervened, he whispered something into Cody Rhodes' ear, and now all of a sudden they're going to switch the main event. And right then I thought, you guys have got to be kidding me. There's no way. And I knew it wouldn't happen because they've been building this since Cody came back in the company, basically. Very loosely then, but it ramped up. And to suggest that after all that planning and everything, that The Rock would come in and say, "Yeah, you know what? I really want my main event with Roman Reigns. Let's just do it now." 3 months out, and have Cody Rhodes win the Royal Rumble and seal his spot. And for them to make it out like, well, you know what? Rock had a say, and that's it. The reason this happened is to swerve people to get more interest in the main event of Roman Reigns and Cody Rhodes. And it was to make the fans feel like they had a voice and could influence the product. So when they put up a video, all the fans like, "Oh no, I can't see The Rock in there. I have to vote for Cody," and all the downvoting and all that happened on YouTube. And there's so many people out there that kept putting this narrative forward and saying, "No, no, that's it. Rock, I can't believe he would do that." And they all got worked. And I don't understand why there's this narrative out there about that. Even in the documentary, what I've heard is that they were saying how you got to constantly kind of change things as they go to get the fans kind of interested. And that's what they did. And my whole problem is that I don't understand why everybody took it as the literal truth. Well, I guess because The Rock's a legend, he came in and said, "Nah, I want my main event now." Are you kidding me? They're not going to throw away all that stuff that they built up for a year. There's no way. There you go.
Yeah, yeah, I hear you. You know, if there's one thing I know about the WWE from their many documentaries and biographies is that they have a tendency to rewrite history
Yeah.
little bit, a little tiny bit.
Sure.
Just it's a smidge, you know? But to me, that's the least of it because I don't watch any of them. So
Sure.
that's the least of my work. I know, honestly, I don't. I was there. I don't need to look at these things.
Yeah, and it's not to say that it wasn't interesting that they did this, that they tried to put this narrative out there, because yeah, you want to keep the fans guessing. I understand that, but a lot of the fans just went kayfabe on it and said, "Oh, how would this guy do this? That's terrible of him. Oh, we gotta boo him and we gotta cheer Cody Rhodes." So WWE got exactly what they wanted. The interest in Cody Rhodes got that much higher, pushed him that much greater towards the main event, and when he won, it was like fireworks. And they needed that extra little push, especially with everything that happened with CM Punk and Seth Rollins. They needed to get more interest in that main event because they knew that other match wasn't going to happen because Punk was injured. You just keep the interest going, and it's smart on their part. I just can't believe how many people were hoodwinked by it.
Mm-hmm. I hear that. I get it. I can't argue with anything you're saying because it's
I'm one of the minority apparently because nobody else puts it out there. It seems there's one podcaster I've heard that did it, but
well, there you go. That's what this show is for tonight because it's like I've had my belly full. I've been disappointed too many times.
Yeah.
Right when I'm on the cusp, like diving back in the new product, I was actually toying with buying some tickets and stuff. Seriously, like I used to.
Well, Money in the Bank was here in Toronto. I could have gone. I just thought,
yeah, we had an event here in Madison Square Garden and stuff. And first of all, the sticker shock will amaze you. I mean, it's wrestling tickets aren't what they used to be. I mean,
no.
Mediocre upper tank seat is $75 here. I mean, it's insane. But then again, the price of everything, we can complain about that. Anything entertainment wise, if people want to see it, they're going to charge you out the yin yang for it. It's just the gouge is in.
The bubble will burst soon. It's not going to last another 5 years. There's no chance. And for them not to capitalize on the money that can be made right now, you can't blame them at all because it's getting their coffers filled up. They're getting all that money. They're trying to reinvent themselves as far as merchandising, and I totally respect that. But this is the way the day and age is. It's going to be harder to go see these things. It's going to be like the Taylor Swift concerts, it's going to cost you, you have to take out a second mortgage on your house just to go see a show, that kind of thing.
What else is going on? You got anything else to complain about, or have you?
How long have you got? I mean, come on.
Me too.
Well, the one.
Here's the thing. Here's what makes me happy these days. Just to wrap this up with a nice bow on it. that I have people like you to continually come on my show, and that people are listening to this thing, and I have fun. When I graduated college, I wanted to be on the radio. I never had that opportunity. I always tell this story. Now, all these years later, this is as good as radio, and better because I get to make my own hours and talk to the people I want to talk to. So I want to thank you once again, Liam Savage. You're a unique voice out there in the wrestling intelligentsia, and I still think good things are going to happen for you. What's going on? Is there anything coming up for you in terms of media or anything like that?
Nothing at the moment. I've said before that I kind of it's a big task, as you well know, to take on, well, I guess not just one show, but two shows now you have.
Right.
And it's a big task, and to do that all yourself, I just don't have the time.
Let me tell you, the time, if you want to, I insist, if you want to do it right, you have to take the time.
Sure.
I will not take this interview, throw it out there, not edit it, because many podcasts do that.
Yeah.
Now, if you're Joe Rogan, you can do that because you've got a professional audio sweetening team sitting there to make everything sound rosy. Even if somebody farts into the mic, you're not going to hear it. Now, here's the thing. I don't have that luxury. I do spend way too much money on equipment and outboard stuff. But I will say, but I enjoy it. I enjoy the editing. I enjoy all the minutia of doing this. But it takes a long time. We're going to talk for like 45 minutes. The post-production on this will be probably about 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
Seriously, because there's things I do that many podcasters don't. Music blends. Sure. I'm into that stuff.
Yeah.
I want it to sound like I always say what you want about the content, but I want to be up there audio-wise with Joe Rogan and Mark Maron. I want people to hear this show and not go, "Ooh, that sounds bad."
You're one of the top ones out there as far as audio goes that I've noticed. No, I'm being serious because I've told you before, I have about 40 podcast subscriptions. Mm-hmm. You're in there, obviously. And when I come across a lot of the shows, I'd say some of them have pretty good audio. There's some that is just embarrassing because they think, well, I'll put out a podcast, whatever. But you kind of get OCD about it like I do, where it's like you got to make sure everything's like a certain way, and just so. I personally, I have a almost 16-year-old daughter, and I want to spend time with her and stuff. I'm afraid that if I start doing another show, not that I was, and not that I was going crazy on the other one, but because I was part of it, but it wasn't my show. I would love to have my own show, but I would need an unlimited amount of time, and it would work better for me as to be kind of a partner to somebody or to kind of interject, that kind of thing. That's kind of where I'm at.
I will say this though. I was a co-host for a year, and that takes time too.
Yes,
there is pre and post, and there's preparation in that too. It's like rare is the show that you get to just sit down and spew. There's a lot of thought that goes. Some podcasts use scripts. I don't, but I understand why some do. To keep the flow going, keep the narrative succinct.
Yes.
But in any event, I get it. Life. Brian R. Solomon said the best thing though, and I've been living by that ever since I heard him say it. He said, "Man does not live by wrestling alone." And I thought about that, and that kind of inspired me to start the entertainment podcast because it's like. And because he said that on my first show that we had about cartoons. It was great. That show, if I never do another thing, I am so proud of that show because we just went off without notes and we just dazzled how much we knew about Chili Willy and Droopy Dog. It was like, I was thrilled because I didn't think anybody cared other than me about that stuff. And apparently a lot of people do. And as we sign off, I just want to tell everybody out there who heard me strident for the first time, even after I said all this, I really mean this, folks. Like what you watch. My opinion doesn't mean anything. It's just how I feel about stuff. It's how it affects me. If you watch AEW, if you watch the Wyatt Six and you're thrilled and you're like going out and buying a hat, God bless you. I mean, life is short. Enjoy what you got, no matter what it is. And with the way things are going down here in the lower 48, have fun as you can, folks. I got no problem with that. I'm sure, Liam, you feel the same way.
Yeah, absolutely. I pick at certain things. It's just to where I want it to be to my standards. And it's not going to be the
Right.
same for everybody. And you know what? If you are into seeing a floor gymnastics routine on AEW, hey, that's cool. Have fun with that. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see, as Jim Cornette calls it, aggressive parkour. I don't want to see that. I really don't. But, somebody out there is going to enjoy it. I take offense to some of it of how it, kind of ruins part of what I love and what I've grown up loving. But
Mhm.
it's not going to be everything for me. That's just the way it is. So,
No, and me either, but I will say this, I am glad I'm as old as I am, and I'm glad that I had the opportunity to live through 6 decades of different genres of wrestling as it progressed through the years, and I got to see all of it. Like I told you before, I started watching wrestling. I actually started wrestling before 1970, but that's when I grasped, that's when I started.
sure.
And to have that much of a knowledge base and all the memories of the stars I've seen and the matches and the events, that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So I'm happy with my dog-eared yellowing magazines from the old days, and my memories are the same way. They're getting kind of dog-eared, but at least I got them. We will say goodbye to this segment. Liam, we'll see you soon, okay?
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Well, we certainly hope you enjoyed us venting a little bit. I needed that. I feel a little better now. I hope you do too. I hope it was entertaining just hearing us talk about the stuff that irks us, or at least me. And I really appreciate Liam Savage being on the show once again. He's a bit acerbic as it is, so I figured he was the perfect person to bring on. Check out his work whenever you can, and you look to hear him again on this show, hopefully very, very soon. So in the meantime, outdatedwrestlinghour.buzzsprout.com is where you can hear all of our shows in one convenient place on the web. You can also hear us on every podcast app you can think of. And I'm remiss saying that we're also on YouTube and YouTube Music. You know what? I hardly produce this show for YouTube, and I pay no attention to it. It's just a conduit for people who may prefer to listen to their podcasts on YouTube. I admit it. I started to listen to my first podcast on YouTube itself. The video thing, Jim Cornette's. That's how I discovered Jim Cornette's podcast a while back, and he has this fantastic, Travis Henkel art at the beginning and end of his shows, which is great. But you just see my ugly mug the whole time, our little placard, as it were. But I put it there as a convenience. It's like, let's say I sold Coca-Cola, right, and I put it in Joe's filling station. I only give him 6 bottles because not that many people come in there. That's what YouTube is to me. I have no designs of being a YouTube video person. I'm too old and too ugly. So I ain't doing it. It's not worth it. So I want to just do podcasts. I want to do audio only podcasts. I have no desire to be audio video. It doesn't make sense to me at my age. I don't think anyone would want to see this face for longer than a minute or two. So you can count on me to do podcasts, old traditional style podcasts, but that's basically it. So anyway, you can find us on YouTube if you want to. Also, outdatedwrestlinghour.buzzsprout.com. You can also find out about the fan club that we have for a nominal fee. You can help perpetuate the ongoing issues of the show when we come out, as well as our other podcast, the Outdated Entertainment Hour. And we're having a great time with that too. We've had some really fun shows. We've got more coming up. And of course, we have a lot more wrestling shows coming up every week. I have so many in the can now. I'm not going to talk about what's coming up, what's been on already, because it's like I'm in the midst of one of those flurry periods where every day I'm working on something podcast wise. Like this is 2 interviews in 2 days, actually 3 if you count the last show I did. So I'm literally doing intros and outros in a bunch because it's like I'm really busy with this stuff. And thank goodness for that. And I want to thank you all for your unbelievable support. And I want to thank Canada. Thank you, Canada, for being particularly good to us the last month or so, both in the wrestling podcast and the entertainment podcast. We really appreciate it. So here's to everybody in Winnipeg and Saskatoon and Montreal and Toronto. We really appreciate every one of you. And I love Canada. As you know, I love the Guess Who. I love a lot about Canada. I want to get up there again. It's been too long. I used to hang out on Yonge Street in Toronto, and I'd like to go back. It's oh gosh, it's been decades, many decades. The El Macambo, love to go back there. But in any event, enough of my yakking. This is the Outdated Entertainment Hour. Find us on Facebook. Bob Smith, the one that sings with BB King. You can write to us at outdatedwrestling@gmail.com anytime. And that's it. We'll be back next week. I can't tell you who because there's too many shows in the bag, but keep an eye on Facebook is where I do most of my announcements. Once in a while on Twitter, about once or twice a week on Twitter. Threads and Instagram. I've started to post things on Instagram. So if you're an Instagram person, chances are you can find some announcement there. I'm Outdated Bob on Instagram. And I'm outdated too because I'm Bob Smith. I am older than the faces on my coins. Please come back and listen to the Outdated Wrestling Hour once again, won't you? Till next time, Ringo Starr, V-shaped fingers. Oh, man. Peace and love. Please. Peace and love.